Hey, what's up, everybody? Todd Shellnut here, back with you, and I've got some things to talk about this week with you. One of the very first things is a common question on the CFI initial check ride as an additional category or class. And if we look at the regulations and we look at the additional class, the way that it reads is sometimes not really self-evident about what it's exactly asking for the training. So what we have here today on our screen is two things that we're going to talk about, and one is how much flight time is required for an additional category. And I'm going to tell you, as a prior examiner and as a CFI, and have been doing this trade for a very long time, I have heard so many answers. I've heard 12, I've heard 9, I've heard 22, I've heard 30, I've heard 40. The correct answer is 30. And I'm going to show you exactly why that is, so that way you won't have any doubts as to the reason why the correct answer to an additional category is 30 hours. Now, specifically what I'm talking about is the additional category coming from anything over to airplanes, because that's all I know. I don't know helicopter, but it almost works the exact same way. As a matter of fact, the letter of interpretation that I'm going to show you that comes from the FAA's legal counsel actually talks about helicopters, going back and forth between helicopters and airplanes. So without further ado, let's look and see what we have. Well, the first thing we're going to talk about is how do we get a letter of interpretation? Well, if you look on the right hand side of the screen here, you simply would just put in the Google, you would put in FAA letter of interpretation, and it's usually the very first link that comes up, and you can see if I click on it, it gives us a certain fill in the blanks here, and I would just put in whatever regulation that I want to learn about. So I want to learn about 61.63. You know what? I'm just going to leave it at that. I can give very specifics. I can go Bravo 1, or I can go Charlie for initial class. And if I look down here, there's just a ton of letter of interpretations that I can choose from. I've already picked the one that I have on the left side of the screen because it's the answer to the question. And if I look on the left-hand side of the screen here, as you can see, this is a letter to Mr. Brian McLellan. And as you can see on the right-hand side, there's the letter there, McLellan from 2015. And it says, this is in response to your letter of October 9th, blah, 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 blah. Let's go down to this paragraph here. And it says, the second scenario you posed concerns a pilot who holds a commercial pilot certificate with a single engine land rating and who wishes to add a rotorcraft helicopter rating. You ask whether this pilot would be required to receive an additional 20 hours of training to meet the requirement of 61.127 Bravo 3. And it doesn't matter whether you're going to the 120s, which are your commercial pilot certificates, or the 100s, which are your private pilot certificates. It does not matter what it is, because this guy's only just doing an additional category. So what we're looking at here on this particular letter of interpretation is, it says, does he need that traditional 20 hours for the private pilot helicopter rating of dual, which is the 30, 20 hours of dual in accordance with 61.109, and 10 hours of solo. So it says, does this guy need the full 20, or can he use some of the 20 hours that he did in his other ratings training on other aircraft to satisfy that 20 hours? And so if we see here, the FAA legal counsel, this is in writing, black and white, says to meet the requirements of 127, or is the pilot only required to receive training in the differences between what they did and what they have to do? And then it says, Section 61.63 Bravo 1 states that a person who applies to add a category rating to a pilot certificate must complete the training and have the applicable aeronautical experience. Applicable, which means that if you've been training in a helicopter, it doesn't matter. You have to get trained in an airplane. Duh. Just because you did auto rotations and your private pilot for a helicopter doesn't mean that that's going to transfer over to airplane. You have to have that airplane training time. And it says, accordingly, a person seeking to add a rotorcraft rating to a commercial pilot certificate must meet the aeronautical experience requirements of 129, or in this particular instance, 109. Doesn't matter which one you're going to. because it says that a person must have the 20 hours of training on the areas of operation listed in 127 Bravo 3, which 127 Bravo 3 is helicopter. If I was to say 127 Bravo 2, that's multi-engine airplane. And if I said 127 Bravo 1, well, that's single-engine airplane. And there is no shortcut available. There is no shortcut available to get those hours. So the bottom line is there is no shortcut. You cannot take it. And the correct answer is 20 hours of dual and 10 hours of solo. And the answer is 30 hours. I really hope this helps you out understanding how to get the letters of interpretations from the FAA and to provide the better answers that you need to these very picky, subjective examiners across the United States. Oh my God, it's a nightmare dealing with these guys because they think they're so smart, they don't want to do any research themselves and find out the correct answers. But you, my friend, have the correct answers now. I'm Todd Shelnut, and I appreciate your time today. Hope this helps. See ya.